All right, ladies and gentlemen, so the divide that Ghost of Yotei has afflicted on the gamer space right now is pretty wild. People are talking about this game in a positive light, and people are talking about this game in a negative light. And to be honest, that's actually probably a good thing, where you have actual discourse around the video game that doesn't necessarily slide to one way or another. It makes it show that perhaps the developer is doing something right by not trying to pander necessarily to anybody in particular. But where things tend to go wrong is whether you have current or former developers, or in this case, a chairman by the name of Sean Layden, doing something that is a death note for most projects whenever it gets said, which is the following: if you don't like it, don't buy it.
And if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Problem solved.
Now, again, guys, the sentiment of don't like it, don't buy it, I can understand it. However, you are saying this to a potential client base, and it is never a good thing, right? We have seen many projects say these following words, whether they're TV shows, movies, video games, doesn't matter. When they say these words, usually it's a death note for the game because the game ends up flopping, or in their words, because they like to use politically correct words, softer sales, or didn't quite reach expectations, or whatever the case may be. So let's get into this article, guys, from That Park Place. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. And again, guys, I understand the Ghost of Yotei is not what people were expecting. It's not what people wanted, myself included. I wanted to see a continuation of Jin's storyline, and now I know I'm probably never going to get that. Whether that's at the fault of them wanting to go woke or not, that has yet to be seen, in my opinion, because just because, it's a female protagonist doesn't mean that the game is woke, and obviously the voice actor is a little bit concerning, and I highly suggest you guys watch this title with a raised eyebrow. We need more information, right? We need to see gameplay. We need to see what's actually cooking in this oven here, because without that, we don't really have anything to go on. So it says former Sony chairman Sean Layden, however, told gamers if they are uninterested or don't like the Ghost of Tsushima sequel, Ghost of Yotei, then they should not buy it. Well, guess what, man? We live in a world where people have a hell of a lot of options, right? It's not like how it was back in the day where you had a couple of exclusives and people were all going to buy that no matter what because they wanted to justify their console purchase. Now, people have so many options. There are people that are going to PC gaming more than ever. As people start to discover PC gaming and how easy it is to actually get into PC gaming, it starts to become a thing where if you tell somebody don't buy it, they're just not going to buy it, right? They're going to do that to spite you, right? Even if they deep down may want to buy it, people these days are going to do it just to spite the shit out of you because they want to see you fail, right? If you start pulling out stuff like this, if you start saying shit like this, people are going to absolutely do it to spite you. And it's been proven because there are so many games out there that have had massive budgets that in any other time probably would have been supported double what they were when they first came out recently. And yet, people just chose not to support them because the developers, the community managers, and everybody under the sun who worked there was telling them not to buy it. And then they were saying they were bigots if they didn't. It was an unwinnable scenario. So people would just want to give you a nice big fuck you and tell you, all right, you don't want me to buy it? Fine, I won't buy it. Layden shared his comments while reacting to YouTuber Endemion's initial reaction to the game's trailer. He wrote, Ghost of Tsushima's sequel stars a Japanese woman samurai warrior because of course it does. They can't help themselves until every franchise that was built on masculinity is replaced by a woman. He added, Ghost of Yotei is hopefully a small spin-off game, but if this is a true sequel and this is the new main character over Jin Sakai, fuck that. So sick of the forced girl boss narrative, man. Now, I totally get this. Okay, I get it. I get where Endemion's coming from, and I respect it, and I understand the concern. I respect the caution, and I'm glad that people can recognize patterns, right, and see that, okay, this isn't looking too good right now. We have seen what happens when they go down this route before, and hopefully this is not the case this time, but chances are, if patterns are to be believed, that it just might be. And let's be real, man, people wanted to play as Jin Sakai. They didn't want to play as Atsu, whatever the fuck her name is, and people are going to be out there saying, well, it doesn't matter what the gamers want. Well, no, it does. Because the gamers are the ones who are flipping, who are paying your fucking salary. The gamers are the ones who will decide whether your game is successful or not. And if you, during the creative vision, decided, you know what? we're gonna go for a female protagonist, even though we're gonna lose 2/3 of our sales potentially, but we're gonna go for the female protagonist regardless because that's the story we want to tell. Not only would I respect that, but I also have to think that's probably not the greatest ideas. You know what I mean? From a business standpoint, if you're gonna do that, let's hope you were at least smart enough to lower the budget on this one. If you spent the same amount of money or more money on this project, and you're doing this with a female protagonist that most people didn't ask for, then you're probably going to be looking at a flop here, even if the game does sell relatively well. Because you guys got to remember, relatively well is not enough for games like this anymore. They can't just bank on relatively well. They have to actually hit it out the park when it comes to these AAA games with massive budgets. YouTuber Mighty Cuck reacted to this by attacking Indeed. Of course he did, because Mighty Cuck is a fucking cuck of the industry. It doesn't matter. As long as he can go opposite of whatever the right-wing chuds say, then he's going to do it, whether he actually believes it or not. Man, what an absolute loser, says the guy with a channel of almost 700,000 subscribers and gets less views than a channel with fucking 61,000. Layden responded to this post writing, 1, it's a game, an entertainment, a story, a team of creators believes in. They want to make this. If that's the case, fantastic. I just hope the budget's smaller. He added, 2, it's a game. If you don't like it, don't buy it. In fact, why not make the game you want yourself? Ooh. Now, this is what they think is like a own the chuds moment, right? Where they feel like, oh, well, we clearly think that we are above everyone else, right? We're the gods of this shit. We make this shit. We run this shit. No. That's not how this works, right? You may be talented enough to make video games. You may be in the industry because it's your passion and whatnot. But at the end of the day, your ability to claim godhood is only dependent on the sales of the video game of which the gamers decide they want to purchase or not. We run this shit, not you guys. You guys make this shit and we turn it into something, because without the fan base, without the gamers, you're not going to have an IP that's worth shit. You're not going to have an IP that people are going to talk about for years on end like they did with Ghost of Tsushima. You think Mighty Cuck, people like Mighty Cuck, the shills out there, are the ones who are going to make your IP into something? No, that's not even close to being true. The shills out there, all they're going to do is suck you dry for everything they possibly can get out of you. But it's the gamers who are actually playing your game, spreading goodwill through word of mouth. They're the ones who are going to turn your IP into something noteworthy. It ain't the fucking shills. As much as you may want that to be the case, it's not. Layden's first point is likely untrue, given Sony and PlayStation have made it very clear that they are not just in the business of making games and entertaining anymore, but are indeed in the business of propagating gamers' woke ideology through their games. The company's website makes this clear. Diversifying the gaming industry is one of our most important goals. Sony Interactive is committed to preparing and nurturing underrepresented talent for careers in the gaming industry. You know why there's certain talent that's unrepresented? Perhaps because they weren't that good to get actually represented in the past. You guys want to turn this into a racist thing when in fact it's a merit-based thing, and it's just an analytical thing, right? There's a group of people out there that tend to swing one certain way for certain professions, right? Why do most women tend to go for professions that are a little bit lighter on the manual labor but more heavy on the nurturing aspect? It's just in their fucking nature, right? Why do a lot of men take up the dirty jobs, the heavy labor jobs, the manual labor jobs, the shit that requires absolute strength in order to do? And it's because that's where they excel at 9 times out of 10. They're trying to pretend as if, since women are underrepresented in these positions, clearly we need to put them into these. That's not how this shit works, man. It goes based off the merit of the people who are applying. So perhaps if there is a certain group of people who were unrepresented in games industry, then maybe they didn't want to be in the games industry to begin with, or they just didn't have the skill to pull it off compared to somebody else who happened to not be from that particular underrepresented group. But you don't want to ever talk about that, because if you do, then you want to scream racism, racism, with no absolute proof whatsoever behind these claims. Then it says, furthermore, it adds, we want our workforce to reflect diversity of thought and experiences of our player base. There is no, I'm telling you right now, they're only saying this because this is our talking point and they're trying to counter it. There is no diversity of thought in the gaming industry. very little. We're talking 95-5 comparison, right? 95% woke psychopaths and 5% people who are just holding on, desperately trying not to get fired for not going along with the woke mind virus. But let it be known that there is no diversity of thought, and that is very apparent in projects like Concord and other projects that we've gotten where they all do the same exact shit and they keep repeating the same exact thing. And then they wonder why their games keep failing in the same exact manner. They want to strike gold with minimal effort, and they want to do it with the most diverse, fake diverse anyway, superficial team possible. That's what they want to do. But ultimately, they've just been failing at it. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.